So I got a comment on one of my videos recently talking about how, like, maybe the reason why I'm so, like, positive all the time, despite the fact that I'm, like, a socially isolated 33-year-old virgin, is actually because of the fact that I'm socially isolated. Like, if I never even knew about Disney World, how could I ever possibly be upset about having never gone? And, it's good theory, but I don't think it's true. Because he went on to mention that he had sort of, like, a friend that, like, he watched, like, sort of start his own life, like, like, have a family and stuff. And it's actually kind of funny because I had the exact same experience happen to me. Like, I had this one, like, straggler friend that I kept in contact with that, like, through, like, Facebook and, like, talking to him on the phone and stuff. Like, I watched him sort of, like, start a family and, like, get a home and all that stuff. The thing is, though, is that I was never really, like, bothered by that. And if you asked me back then, like, when I was younger, like, why that didn't bother me, like, I don't think I could have given you an answer. But, like, I've just honestly, like, never felt too bad about my situation. I mean, it's a little boring sometimes, and, I guess it would be fun to sort of, like, have someone else to, like, go do things with. But I've just never had sort of the feeling like I've been left behind in life. I watched a video not too long ago by Andy Nowicki, who you guys might actually be familiar with. I'll put the video in the description. But he said something in the video that I think finally put a word to exactly what it is that I've been doing for these past 20 years. And he called it authenticity-maxxing, which to me means, like, going in and, like, finding these little pieces of yourself and, like, bringing them out. Because, it feels good to, like, continually become more me. And looking back on it, like, I think that's just what I've been, like, doing this whole time, but I just, like, never realized that I was doing it. Like, how when you're, like, learning to speak as a kid, like, you're just kind of, like, babbling incoherently and you don't really realize that what you're doing is actually practicing a language. Like, that's kind of what I feel like I've been doing. And I think on some level, like, that's probably why I haven't been depressed, because I mean, despite everything, like, I kind of feel lucky to have, like, slipped through the cracks of the system. Because, I mean, I feel like I've landed in, like, a relatively safe spot, because I've kind of been left with, like, this unbelievable golden opportunity to, like, look into myself for the past 20 years, like, undisturbed. I just feel like I found, like, so many, like, little things about myself, and that, like, I'm in touch with myself in, like, a way above average way. And honestly, like, I just don't feel like I've wasted time, Like, I think the average person has probably wasted way more time than I have. Because, it's like they're working some job they hate because, like, they have bills to pay, and, like, it takes up all their time and energy, and, like, maybe they had their own sort of, like, authenticity, like, squashed by their parents or something. And, they just, like, forgot who they were and, like, what they really wanted. Like, that is just, like, an unfortunate situation to me. And I just feel like it's probably way, way more common than it should be. Like, it's probably the norm, actually. And I just feel like I'm one of the very lucky, privileged few that has, like, never been crushed in that way. Like, if anything, like, I feel like I've already sort of made the cut, Like, I survived the gauntlet. I mean, like, the only thing that I feel like I've, like, missed out on is, like, having, like, a fun adolescence. And, like, bonding and, like, going on adventures and stuff. And, like, the only time that I ever feel, like, emo about my situation is when I hear people talk about, like, all, like, the fun times that they had when they were younger. But, who knows? Like, maybe that's coming. And, maybe when it comes, like, I'll be able to appreciate it more because I never had it when I was younger. And so, maybe it's a good thing that things worked out this way. And, I just feel like I couldn't have done all this, like, authenticity maxing, like, at a better time. Because, I can easily see, like, a not too distant future where, like, the YouTube algorithm or, like, some other sort of, like, AI, like, who knows what it'll be. Like, it'll be able to, like, read my body language in my videos or, like, my tone of voice or something. Or, like, analyze these pictures hanging on my wall. And, based on that, it'll sort of be able to, like, make an image of my spirit. And then it'll be able to sort of, like, connect me with, like, the right exact people at, like, the right exact moment. Because, it'll sort of be able to, like, read their spirits too. And it'll know that there's going to be, like, a high chance for, like, a timely, meaningful connection. And I feel like since I've been authenticity maxing for so long, like, it'll do a much better job at that connecting. It'll get a minimal amount of, like, bad readings because, to the best of my ability, I'm saying things that I believe in, Because, I don't think it's ever possible to be, like, 100% truly authentic. Because, I don't think it's possible to ever, like, truly finish authenticity maxing. It's just an infinite ongoing process. I mean, I'm not going to say that these things aren't, like, kind of creepy because, the companies that control this technology are probably going to have a few, like, bad motivations. But I just feel like the good that will come out of it will probably be enough to, like, outweigh a few bad motivations by Google or something. And, who knows? Like, maybe the algorithm will be able to sort of, like, outwit the bad motivations of the companies that control them. Like, it'll be able to see past whatever superficial motive the company has and, like, see more potential in, like, the overall flourishing of humanity, and making sort of, like, honest connections instead of connections based on like, maximizing profit or like pushing some agenda or something. I mean, Google doesn't even know how the algorithm works now. So, they're definitely not going to know how it works in the future. And I mean, the algorithm already sort of outwits Google, like channels pop up all the time that it seems like YouTube would rather like not pop up. It kind of seems like it's out of Google's control at this point. I mean, they probably have some sort of like manual override in the system somewhere, but maybe at some point it'll be able to outwit even the manual override. So, I just think there's a lot to be hopeful about, I mean, I'm probably being naively optimistic about all this because like this could easily turn into a dystopian mess. But like I just kind of feel like this is coming and there's nothing anybody can do to stop it. And I just kind of feel like the best way to be ready for it is just to be like as in tune with yourself as you possibly can be. Because I just kind of feel like this is the sort of thing that'll be able to make like the most amazing dreams become reality. But I also think it'll sort of be able to like manifest the worst nightmares that you could possibly imagine. And if you're not like truly in tune with who you are, like I could see it getting bad for you. Like, this is definitely fire that we're playing with here. But, I just don't think we have any other choice because, like, I don't think there's any stopping it at this point. So, like, we might as well just embrace it. I don't think I've ever truly thought that there was anything wrong with me. Like, I feel like I've always just kind of paid that idea lip service because, like, objectively looking at the situation, like, I'm in kind of a position that you would expect somebody with mental problems to have. And, maybe I do have, like, a little bit of social anxiety. But I kind of have a hunch that, like, what's really going on here is that, like, the real world is just kind of, like, dying. Like, TV is dying, malls are dying, brick and mortar retail is dying, newspapers are dying. Like, it's possible to buy a house, it's possible to find employment, it's possible to find friends. Like, dating is impossible. Like, I kind of feel like Tinder is just sort of like the last gasp of dating as we currently understand it. Like, in the same way that, like, clickbait news stories are sort of like the last gasp of the old media. Like, just like a last desperate attempt to get people back. Like, like those ugly yellow signs in stores that are going out of business that are like, oh, 90% off of everything. Like, it's all just like a manifestation of the same thing to me. And like, I'm just starting to think that my problem is just like, I can't bring myself to interact with this rotting corpse because it just reeks of like desperation and like hopelessness. I'm like, oh, I gotta make my dating profile, or like, oh, bro, you gotta go through 1,000 rejections to get that one yes, or like, oh, you gotta go into life-ending debt and then fill out 1,000 applications and like constantly pester employees to the point of harassment if you want that job. Oh, rent for a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,500 a month. Like, just fucking die already, please. It's like poking a dead body with a stick and expecting it to dance. Like, dude, it's dead. It's done. Let it go. And don't touch it because it's going to make you sick. But see, I don't think that these things are going away forever. Like, I think it's just going through a metamorphosis. And I think the new form that it's like taken on is going to be like way better than it was before. And like the connections between people are going to be like far stronger and far more genuine than they ever could be before. And I just feel like the best possible position that you could be in to like be ready for this is to just like be who you are as truly as you possibly can be. And I think that we're almost there, Like, I think we already are there. Because like, if me and you have connected in some way here, like, I got news for you, buddy boyo. It is over. Because we already fucking won.